Hello, welcome to Tuesday Tips. I am Pam, one of your nurse advocates from your Nurse Advocate Consulting. We're diving into a topic that is really so important for healthy aging: immunizations and what's recommended for adults 50 years of age or older. So, whether you're caring for an aging loved one or planning ahead for yourself, this episode will help you sort through what's new, what's recommended, and how to make the best decision for your own unique health needs. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, thank you for joining us. And I just want to also thank those that are going to catch us on the replay. So, you are important to us as well. So, thanks for tuning in. So, let's start with why immunizations matter as we get older. And I don't think any of us have a problem with knowing that, as our whether we have grandchildren now, great grandchildren, as they grow up, there's a series of immunizations that they have to go through. They have to get certain immunizations more than one time because their immune system is so immature that they're not building that immunity they need to. So they need protection while they're young, and then they need protection again later on when their immune system can hold on to that immunity. So I think we all get that, and we know that, but sometimes people don't understand why it's equally important for our aging adults. And you know, let's start with the big picture. As we get older, our immune systems naturally weaken. So as young ones, we wait till we get older. The babies get older, and their immune system gets stronger. Well, as we age, our immune system naturally weakens, and so what that means is that we're more likely to catch certain diseases, but those illnesses can be much more serious, sometimes leading to hospital stays and also long lasting complications of the illness. So, vaccines aren't just for kids, they're a key way to protect our independence for aging adults, keep us out of the hospital, and help us to enjoy more good days. So, let's look at what currently the CDC recommendations are. So, this is a quick overview. What does the CDC recommend for adults 50 and over? So here are the main ones. So they recommend a flu shot every year for everyone. And I thought this was important to bring up this topic now. Everybody's kind of on the back to school thought process, thinking about the fall coming. And, these immunizations can start in October. So I wanted to get this out so people can think about this a little bit as they're heading into the fall and getting their annual checkups, or going in to see the doctor when you're going to be asked and when they're going to be, suggesting some of these immunizations. So flu shot every year for everyone. The flu can hit older adults very hard and even lead to pneumonia. I mean, we've seen even with the flu with aging adults. Aging adults struggle with dehydration as it is because they lose their mechanism of thirst and they don't drink as much as they should anyway when they get older. So a lot of times when you have the flu, the influenza or a GI bug, because the flu is actually, influenza is respiratory. So when we talk about, we got the flu and we have diarrhea, that's really not the flu, but we kind of have this flu term, is for the gastritis as well. Anyway, aging adults can get dehydrated very quickly, whether from not drinking or from losing it through loose stools or diarrhea. The next one is a COVID-19 vaccine. Stay up to date, including boosters as recommended. We've got the shingles vaccine, which is called Shingrix, and that's for anyone 50 or older. It comes in 2 doses. Shingles can be extremely painful and lead to nerve pain that can last for several months and even years. I get on my kind of horse. I didn't want to get the shingles vaccine, but my mom did not get it. My mom got shingles, and the nerve pain never went away. It's been years now, and she's been taking medication for that. And I have a tendency over the years to start having some of the same health challenges as my mom, so I know it's in my genes. And so I went ahead and got the shingle shot. The first one, I'll be honest with you, I did get sick from that. Didn't know if I was going to get the second one, but I did, and the second one was fine. And I've heard stories where the first one's no problem, and the second one and I've heard other stories where people had absolutely no problems at all. So It's something you have to think about. But now my husband did not get the shingles vaccine. I got it while I was still working in the hospital, and they offered it at no charge. And so I went ahead and took advantage of that. Now, my husband, James, didn't. He's been under a lot of stress with his mom passing and trying to settle his estate, sell her home, and things like that. He came down with the shingles, and fortunately for him, it lasted a normal course. The rash went down his left arm, so the pain he had was in his left shoulder, and it's now resolving, and that pain is going away. And so, very fortunate for him. But some people aren't that fortunate to have it go away and kind of run its course. So, again, everybody has to make their own decisions for what's right with them. So now we get to the pneumonia vaccines. This one has really changed recently. There are a few new vaccines that offer better protection. There's the PCV20, which is now recommended as a single dose for adults 65 years of age or older, and some younger adults with some chronic health conditions. There have been like the PC18, there's been other things. So real important to check with the doctor, depending on how long it's been since you've had a pneumonia shot, if you need to get a booster or not. Then we have the DTaP, or the tetanus booster. That's still every 10 years. That's been the same for quite a long time. That protects against tetanus, diphtheria, and whooping cough. And then last but not least is the RSV vaccine. I know there's been a big push over the last couple of years, especially since the pandemic, for older adults to get that RSV vaccine, especially those with chronic heart or lung disease. So there are others that you might need based on your health, your travel, your lifestyle. So always check with your healthcare provider on what is recommended for you. So what's new? We talked a little bit about the flu or the influenza. Oh, excuse me. We talked a little bit about the pneumonia vaccine. So let's talk a little bit more about what's changed, because this is where a lot of people have questions. So many of the older vaccines, the PPSV, the 23 or the PCV 13, those were years ago. And now we have the 15, the 20, and in particular, the 20 covers even more strains of bacteria that causes pneumonia. So the vaccines do get better. So that's why it's real important to ask your provider if they feel that you're covered or if you would need a booster. So if it's been several years since your last pneumonia shot, or you're not sure which one you got, please ask your doctor. It's all recorded. They have a record. It's in your state immunization record as well. And you can check at the state level, but it's pretty easy to go to my chart or just ask your provider to see if you're due for an update. The new vaccines, they offer better protection and also more long-lasting protection. And they can also cover, as we mentioned before, more strains of the pneumonia. I've included a really nice handy comparison chart in this week's blog post, and that's going to come out this week. So check it out if you want to see the differences side by side. And that will be ready soon. And I will make sure that the link to the blog post with the chart and everything is going to be in the video description for the replay. So you'll see that here on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel. And the experience, like what we had with the shingles vaccine, that really drives home why I'm passionate about sharing this information. Vaccines are not a guarantee, but they can make a huge difference. And so that's why I want to take, the next minute or so just to look at addressing some concerns and controversy. I know there's a lot of controversy and strong feelings about vaccines, especially after the pandemic. And it's completely normal to have questions or even hesitations. So here's my take. Immunizations are a recommendation, not a requirement. What's right for one person may not be right for another, but the most important thing is to have that open conversation with your healthcare provider. Talk about your health history. What chronic health conditions do you have? Do you have any lung diseases? Do you have any heart conditions? And what other concerns you might have. So together between you and your provider, you can make a plan that feels right for you. Now, if you're a caregiver, if you're caring for an aging adult, maybe someone who has dementia or someone, an aging loved one that maybe needs a little bit more direction, a little bit more input from your standpoint on their care, make a list of their current vaccines and when they were last updated, and you can bring that with to the next doctor visit, or ask them if you don't have one, ask them if they could print one out for you so you can start with a fresh current list. And then ask about any new vaccines or boosters that they may benefit from, especially if it's been several years since their last shot. So remember, your advocacy as their caregiver, they're relying on you, so it does make a difference. So never feel bad about speaking up and asking questions. So if you want to see the full list of recommended vaccines, you can check out the charts and comparison tables in this week's blog post. In that blog post, I've included links to the CDC guidelines, plus more details on each vaccine and who should consider them. You also find my personal story in the blog, as such with the shingles, but along with some tips for talking with your provider and making the best decision that you can for you and your loved one. So this is a shorty episode. I just wanted I felt this was a good time to start talking about this as we're heading into thinking about fall. And so thank you very much, for joining me today. If you found this helpful, please share with a friend or family member that might need this information. And don't forget, just visit our website or this week's blog post for more resources, charts, and answers to your vaccine questions. If you have a specific question or want to share your own experience, please feel free to drop a comment underneath this post. Send me a messenger, if you want to send me a private message. We're here to support you every step of the way. So stay well, stay empowered, and we'll see you next week for more Tuesday tips. Take care.